And I've found in radio that the listener doesn't really care if you're having a tough time. Isn't particularly interested if you're struggling for whatever reason. They just basically want you to make them smile and play them a good tune. But the flip side of that, because you have to adopt this ability to close off what's going on in the outside world, you then, it's like a form of escape that you either go behind the microphone or you step into the light during panto and let the audience, you know, take you away for a couple of hours. And you do, and it's because I've had some really difficult times. I've had some, you know, personal things, be it with losing people around me, my family, or you know, having gone through sort of domestic traumas and difficult times in your life. But you can escape, and it's a funny thing. And and a great example of that is what I've just been through this year, losing Andy Gray, and who's my sort of partner in panto, and we went off and did all sorts of things together at the Fringe. But above all of that he was one of my closest friends, and I learned a lot from him. I mean, I'll probably mention him quite a few times over the course of this conversation, but I learned so much from Andy. And one of the things was, you go on that stage, you know, you go and do that job that you are booked to do. Or if there's somebody in that audience, be it a radio audience or a theatre audience, expecting you to be there, but you turn the radio on, they expect Grant on the radio, or they turn up to the panto, expect you have to be there no matter what. And it's going to take something massive for you not to go. And an example is that Andy himself, you know, went through a terrible time. His mum very sadly died on Christmas Day one year when we were doing panto, right in the middle of the run. And he was on stage on the Boxing Day for the matinee at 12 for the half-hour call. There he was in his dressing room, and we're going, you don't have to be here. And he's going, well, where else would I go? What else am I going to do? So I sit home and get upset about my mum. He says, or I can let the audience get me through the day with two shows. And, you know, I was like, wow, that's amazing. And the flip side of that, a few years later, I was booked to do a charity ball, a Cash for Kids ball in Edinburgh. And Andy had been invited along by the charity because he was a patron of Cash for Kids. So I was hosting. He was my special guest of honor. And this was on the Saturday night. And on the Friday, the day before, we had to put my lovely wee King Charles Cavalier, Charlie, to sleep. He was a wee bit ill, wasn't great. And the decision was made on the Friday afternoon to put him down. Now, anyone who has a pet knows that's a horrendous day. And I remember I got home that night and I was like, I'm not in the mood for anything. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anyone, let alone get up on stage with a microphone and go, hey, everybody, how you doing? Welcome along. Let's have some fun. Didn't feel like that. Felt, I was 1,000 miles away from that guy. So then I started hatching this plan. I know what to do. I'll get, you know, Arlene could cover it for me. And then at just that point I went, and I can phone Andy and tell him that I'm not going. And I just stopped halfway through that thought process, because I then envisaged that particular conversation with Andy when I was due to say to him, Andy, I'm not going to be able to perform on Saturday night because I had to put my dog to sleep. And then he would have, I guarantee he would have turned around and went, I'm sorry, you're what? And that would have been him basically going, you're not doing a show. Why? Because your dog's dead. Hang on. My mum died and I went on stage next week. So it's like, okay, you win. So needless to say, I did the gig. Andy and I had a great night, and he was absolutely spot on. Where else would I rather have been? In a room full of, you know, lovely people and with my big mate Andy, and we had a great night. But it is just one of those things. I have that invested in me now, that you go on no matter what. And, you know, it's going to have to take something really serious for you to miss a show, or to not do as you're expected to do.